Stacking to Win podcast. I'm Jason Gilbo. With me is Matt Viselli, breaking down today's top stacking options. Full slate. We got 10 games tonight. You and I mean, probably about 6 viable stacks that you can roll with, and we kind of added on a couple cheap ones at the end there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what I really do tonight. There's obviously a couple top stacks that we like, but we like that top pitcher on the slate too. So we're gonna have to do some finagling here and see if we find a team, maybe do their cheap guys in the back end to try to get those top pitching stacks.
Yeah, I mean, we do have Greinke. We do have a couple cheap SP2s, but Corey Kluber, obviously, 14K on DraftKings. It's going to take a huge chunk of salary out if you're using him. And he's in a really good matchup. It's not like a matchup where I'd be like, all right, maybe I can fade, but 14K is a ton.
Yeah, it's how I feel with Greinke. I feel like we could, 12-2 St. Louis, but maybe we could fade. Maybe he's not that great. But Kluber, it's almost like, dang, we got to play him. But I think we should start here with the Cubbies.
Yeah, Junior Guerra on the hill. He's at home. Cubs are huge favorites, -175, right around a 6-run total. Guerra's been a guy I've picked on for a long time. He's always had that regression coming, and he still actually has further regression coming. He only has like a 238 BABIP. A lot of it has to do with just because he walks a ton of guys, but he's giving up a ton of homers right now. This line is finally clicking. This ballpark, it's such a good spot.
Yeah, I think I watched him a lot last year, and I thought he was pretty decent. But the more and more I've watched him, I've just realized that over the last year and a half, he's just been so lucky. Like, he's really just not that good. And if there's, I don't even care about looking at the rest of the games. If there's one team I want tonight, it's the Cubs.
Yeah, I like him. I love the lefties. Even Chris Bryant, I don't mind. What are your thoughts on Jason Hayward, Ian Happ, Addison Russell, kind of some of those guys that are hitting 6th, 7th, and 9th?
Yeah, I think Rizzo, Bryant, Schwarber, Happ, maybe one more Zobrist, something like that, throw that in, maybe even Hayward, we have so many different ways we could go with this today, but I just think I know they're priced up, but they're in such a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a value stack in here somewhere. I mean, Zobrist, Schwarber, Happ, Hayward, Russell. I mean, they're not expensive. It's really just mainly Wilson Contreras. I mean, given his recent stretch, he's priced up. He's 4.7 on DraftKings. It's a lot more than I kind of like for a catcher tonight, but he's been red hot.
Yeah, I mean, we got like you said, Hayward 3.6, Russell 3.6. I mean, John Jay's been playing, and if he leads off, he's 3.6. Like, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there is decent value in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Indians were the next one that I was looking at, going on the road, taking on Miguel Gonzalez. This guy, fly ball pitcher, in a poor ballpark, 346 WOBA to righties, 354 to lefties. Bradley Zimmer's been on fire leading off. I like him a lot tonight. And then once again, I mean, I just look at these guys. They don't strike out a ton. Lindor, Brantley, Encarnacion, Ramirez, they're expensive, but if you're paying down on the hill, I think a Cleveland stack is my next one after the Cubs.
Yeah, I do think they're in a good spot. It's just I'm just looking at some of these prices, man. It's just, oh my God. On DraftKings, Jose Ramirez is 45, and he's the 6th highest. Like Bradley, like you said, Bradley Zimmer's stroking the ball, but I can't pay 49.
But that's how I looked the other night. I thought they were going to be actually pretty popular, whatever that night it was when Encarnacion hit the walk-off grand slam. I thought they were going to –
yeah, they had 2 grand slams that night.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be popular, and they actually weren't. Most of them were sub 10%. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the case again tonight, where just because their prices are up, that their ownership's down.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to figure out what I'm going to want to do here because, there's just so many. There's so many teams that we talked about before the show that are in good spots, but like we said, they're all kind of priced up. And I'm just looking at Kluber, and I'm like, if I have 100 lineups, I almost want to have him in every lineup.
Yeah,
I'm just so confident that Kluber's going to pitch well tonight.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, he's definitely a guy who has the highest upside, probably going to finish as the highest scoring pitcher on the slate.
I mean, maybe I'm just going to have to go, a catcher that's 2,400 or less or something like that. And same thing with maybe a shortstop or something, depending on it's stack dependent, maybe try to find an outfielder that's 2,700. It's going to suck, but I mean, maybe they have a good game.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I mean, I think there are some intriguing cheap guys to look at tonight. I mean, you mentioned Tanner Rourke before. the show started. I don't mind him. I think both actually the San Diego and Pittsburgh options are pretty cheap too, and they might be guys I consider in that big ballpark.
Yep.
So, but some cheaper stacks. I mean, we'll talk Washington real quick before we break off. But I know you like them. It's a team obviously that can go off any day of the week. We saw it, just the other day. And Goodwin, Defoe, Harper, Zimmerman, Murphy, Rendon. I mean, outside of Harper, everyone's below 5K. Goodwin and Defoe kind of break up and give you a nice little value there.
Yeah, it's going to be – I mean, I think Marquez is bad. I really do. So it's going to be interesting. Harper, Murphy would be in there for me for sure. I don't even know where to go from there. Like, this would be the perfect Trey Turner Adam Eaton game. Too bad they're both out. But, we'll see what they do with the lineup too. They just got Howie Kendrick. He might bet second. Who knows?
Yeah, this is definitely this time of the year. I got to keep an eye on lineups. Guys coming in, guys coming out. I like Washington here. I'm with you. Marquez really isn't all that good. Yeah, he's away from Coors, but this guy's mainly just a fastball thrower. Washington's going to eat them up. I'm with you. I think overall, if I'm paying up for a stack, I actually don't even think this one's all that expensive, just because, unlike Cleveland, you kind of get a break with the rest of these guys here outside of Harper and Murphy.
Yeah, I think, but that's the thing though. I do think that you do have to have those two in this scenario, but you could, if Defoe and all them play up top, you can go a little bit cheaper. Maybe even throw in Wieters, stuff like that, just to get a little salary saver, because you're going to need. I mean, Wieters is 2.7, part of that 5-man stack that I always talk about, the catcher. That's going to be a nice guy to plug in to try to get Kluber.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Cheap stack, Atlanta. You mentioned it before the show, the lefties obviously in play here. Eichhoff off against lefties. Inciarte, he's cheap. Markakis is cheap. Matt Adams is cheap. Freddie Freeman's expensive, but those are the four lefties I consider here.
Yeah. I think that's okay though that Freddie Freeman's expensive. I'd probably go, like you said, Freeman, Adams, Inciarte, and then I'd probably, if I'm gonna full stack it, I'd go Markakis, and then is Kemp gonna play?
I don't know. He's not projected in the lineup.
He's got that right hamstring. Dang. So he might not play, but that I was about to say, so maybe I'll move that down to Phillips, because this is always my thought process is, yeah, Eichhoff is, pretty good against righties and bad against lefties, but if I'm fully stacking a team, I'm assuming that they're going to rock him, and then I'm going to get the bullpen, and then that's where I want Phillips, where nobody's going to play him because I know Eichhoff's good against righties,
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, I don't mind Phillips. I don't even mind Tyler Flowers either.
Yeah, it's the same thing I do with Arizona. When they face a lefty, I take all those those right-handed bats that match lefties, and I still take Jake Lamb so that when the bullpen comes in, he gets nobody's going to have him.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you there. Let's go to Texas. I mean, one of the highest run totals on the slate. Austin Bivens-Dirks, this guy's awful. He can't miss bats. Baltimore's a team that's been kind of a letdown. I'm kind of bummed that they're actually priced up on DraftKings, but I guess I can see why. Some of these guys are starting to turn it around, and DraftKings was ahead of the curve. It's not like we're getting them at a discount anymore.
Yeah, I think that we were talking before the show. Bivens-Dirks is so bad, I'm actually going to have trouble only picking 5 Orioles.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I'd probably, Scope's 4.8 and, at second base, which is like, wow, so is Murphy. But, like, dude, Scope's on fire. It's hard to not, want him, Machado, Chris Davis, Seth Smith, Trumbo. Like, I'd probably skip Jones in this.
That's tough for me. I think Jones has been playing really well, but I think
I
at
know
4-6.
but that's the thing. Like, I think out of those 6 guys, like, I mean, Trumbo, you could skip, but he's a little bit cheaper than them, and he's got a revenge game going on here.
Yeah,
and
just as much upside as Jones does.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And Trumbo could get as many points as Jones with one swing. That's what But Seth Smith, I don't know. It's gonna be hard for me to figure this out. It definitely. I probably wouldn't go Mancini here, even though he's not even in a bad spot, and I probably would not go Beef. But I mean, it's just everybody else is in, such a good. I don't know. It's those 6 for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, you look at Dirks, he's 348, 7 well to lefties, 326 to righties, over 200 ice on both sides of the plate. I really don't think you can go wrong here. I think Seth Smith is an intriguing value, even though he's not, obviously in the top half of the lineup anymore. I just think he's still going to get 4 at bats. It's still just going to be a lineup that just goes through and crushes. I think tonight. Last night I was off of him tonight, but I'm on.
Yeah, I actually now that you say that, yeah, I really do like Seth Smith. He was one of the 6, obviously, I was talking about. But I feel like if he's not leading off, then it's much easier for me to say, all right, let me just take the other 5 because I like the other 5 anyway. It's not like I'm forced to take somebody I didn't like,
Yeah, that's true. On the Texas side, I like him here. I like some of these guys. I'm not going to pay 4 or 5 for Andrus on this slate. I don't know if I can quite pay 4 or 7 for Beltre, even though he does need the 2 hits for 3,000 a night. That's the narrative that we got going. But I like the bottom half guys. I don't mind Shu and Mazar either, Odor, Napoli. Those guys are all really cheap with upside. Joey Gallo is always a tough call for me just because he hits in the bottom of the order, but this guy has 2 homer upside too.
Yeah. Oh man, I've found myself doing this the last couple times where I've stacked without Beltre and Andrus, and which is really really hard to do even on DraftKings. When you take 5 and you don't have either of those 2, it's like, wow, I must be doing something wrong. But one time it worked out completely right, and one time I just needed Andrus. So I mean, you could do it and it worked out for me because, like you said, they're a little bit cheaper, and it was able to, if you save a couple thousand with the couple guys you took instead of those 2, and I was able to upgrade from an okay pitcher to a top tier pitcher.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the difference that it makes for me is like Andrus has proved me wrong this year. This is a guy in the past I would never play in terms of upside, and he's actually shown it this year. But if there was no Kluber, if there was no Greinke, and I was paying down to pitching, I would find the room for Andrus. But I just don't think tonight I'm going to be making him a priority.
No, it's always interesting where I think tournaments could be one like this too, but it's always interesting to find out what people are going to do on this slate at those kind of positions, because I know a lot of people love to pay down at shortstop. They love to pay down at second base. They love to pay down at catcher. Like tonight with all the expensive options and stacks, like the absolute contrarian way is going to be, especially if it's not part of your stack of if you just have Andrus in there, playing that, or you just have Scope, or you just have Contreras,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Let's talk Minnesota. Let's talk Oakland. These are 2 of the cheapest teams on the board. Mejia, Chris Smith, 2 bad pitchers. Runtoll is pretty high here. This might be a pretty good game stack, and I think it actually fits in really well together because Minnesota doesn't have a shortstop that I want to use. I could use Semien. They don't have a first base. I could use Healy. Oakland doesn't have a second base. I could use Dozier. I could use third base. I guess Snow. I mean, I might be able to game stack this one for really cheap and put Kluber in.
Yeah, I agree with that. Who do you think plays? Did Chris Carter get called up? He's still in AAA, because I was gonna say this would be a spot for him to play first base tonight, even though I wouldn't want to play him anyway. But just wondering based on lineups. But like I do like the game stack, but if you just want to talk about each side first, because I think that's what some people do, I do like for Oakland, Davis, Semien, probably even Raji Davis, and then Healy, Jed Lowry. That's super cheap.
Yeah, I like that too. I would add the addition of Chris Davis in there. I think 4K is pretty reasonable for him. I think FanDuel is a little bit more expensive.
I said Chris Davis.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you must have missed it.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. But exactly. He's the most expensive. Him and Semien at 4K. I think that's just, you have to do that, right?
Yeah, and Ryan Healy's been really struggling, but dude mashes lefties.
Yeah, and I mean, he just, in this scenario too, if you do the game stack, yeah, like you said, you plug him in at first. But if you just do the Oakland stack, then you can just mess around with it and see, oh, do I really want this third baseman, or do I really want this first baseman?
Yeah. I think first base is where I'd look to kind of save him if I wasn't doing the game stack, because third base, I mean, Chris Bryant's there tonight, but outside of that, I mean, I don't know if there's anyone that I'm completely in love with. I'm not really even in love with Chris Bryant.
Yeah. And another guy I could talk about in the stack, maybe, Raji Davis doesn't play. Then here's an idea. You put Healy at first, you put Matt Chapman at third.
Yeah, I was going to say Chapman's too late on DraftKings. Ryan Lavarnway is projected to catch. He's 2K at catcher if you really need a cheap punt.
Yeah, because Fegley's out. Man, yeah, there's no way. Like I struggle playing Fegley. There's no way I'm playing Lavarnway.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys where it's like, hey, if you do want to play Kluber and a decent stack, I mean, I'll punt catcher completely for 2K.
Yeah, if you need to, and he's part of the stack, yeah, that's not a bad option at all.
So I think that's the only way I do it.
I do like Minnesota here, though.
Yeah, that Dozier, Kepler, Sano, Grossman. I mean,
2.8,
really cheap.
Yeah, and I'd probably figure out exactly what I want to do with my my fifth there. Eduardo Escobar's 3.4. I do like that. Eddie Rosario's 4K. I probably wouldn't go that high for somebody of his stature at least. Maybe if we're talking catchers here, assume Jason Castro plays. He's 2.9. That fits in pretty well. There's this Zach Granick guy's been playing a lot lately.
Yeah, he's only 2.3. I mean, Minnesota's a team where I think you can get some good. This is a game basically with all the punt value.
Yeah, there's yeah, exactly. Which I mean, I feel like that's part of a lot of people's cash games there.
Yeah. To get Kluber, to get a couple of these big bats that we have talked about from other stacks, like it's definitely, I think, a stars and scrubs night.
Yeah. Do you have any other teams? I think I've got everything I like.
Yeah, I mean, Miami's a team that I'll probably consider tonight. One thing I hate about their stack is the fact that you got to lock up all 3 outfield spots, but
yeah, I actually kind of like that just because that's exactly what people think is, I have to lock up all 3,
Yeah, I mean, that took down our GPPs the other night when they scored 22 runs. It was that slow, and I love Real Muto hitting 5th.
Yeah, and I love this stack. I always stack them. I love because this team can hit. This team has a postseason offense. They just have a AAA pitching staff. That's the problem. But it's better. I feel like for me, it's easier for them to stack now with Bohr out, because when Bohr's in there, I always have the, I usually play all 3 outfielders, and then I'm like, all right, Bohr, D, JT, I got to pick 2.
Yeah.
And usually it's Bohr and D because D's leading off, put him in there. Bohr's got power, and JT, bats 7th when Bohr's in there, like, and he's only hit, I don't know if you've seen it, but he's like the best hitting. He's the best hitter, I believe, this year on the road, average wise, but he's terrible at home. So it's like there's just so many different factors with JT. I just feel like the other 2 are so much more consistent.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there.
But without Bohr, you have full JT tonight with D in the outfield.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that's the 5. It definitely shrinks it down.
Yeah.
Narrowing down a top 3 for you, out of guys we mentioned. I mean, how you kind of rank in yours?
Definitely Cubs, and then I'm gonna go probably Washington and Baltimore.
Yeah, I think Cubs coming as number 1 for me. Value considered, I think I kind of like Texas here, but
I do like Oakland a lot, though. I really do.
I do, and I think depending on what that Atlanta lineup looks like in terms of getting guys in a row, I think they're in play. But yeah, I think Cubs Baltimore is kind of my front 2, and it's really a tie between probably Oakland and Texas is my 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of offenses. It's going to be interesting what people do since Oakland and Minnesota is. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, with Kluber, Oakland and Minnesota might both be chalky. They're not going to be chalky because they're Oakland, Minnesota, but they might get a lot more ownership than I thought they were going to get because like everybody's going to be like, oh, I can go get Kluber and Nova or something like that.
Yeah, I could definitely see a swing here where it's 5% more than what it really should be.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking, a 5% stack that turns into 30%. I'm talking a 5% stack that turns into 12%.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. Who do you got scoring the most runs tonight? Any team?
Cubs
there.
I think it's going to happen, which a lot of times when I say that, it's some other random team. But I'm going to say this. I think it's Cubs, and if it's not, I really think it's Oakland.
I'm going to say Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah. I like that too.
Just on the road there. I mean, I know you like this, getting all 9 innings, and especially against that Texas bullpen. If he's not going to last long.
Yeah, and just for everybody who doesn't know, that's a great. If you can fit it in, that's a great game stack because both those bullpens are terrible.
Yeah, so fire away. I mean, there's a reason that's the highest scoring one on the board
Yeah.
tonight.
Yes, exactly.
That's going to wrap it up for us. You can go to dayfantasycafe.com, check out our great tools and content.